Hey, welcome back to the channel. So for today's topic, we're going to go over this VeVe Exclusive Variant tier list that I came up with. Before I go any further, just know that the point system that I gave them is just a made-up point system. This is just me trying to give some of these comics some weight, based off mostly the artists that came up with it. And if you don't know, so on the physical side of things for comics, that some of these artists become so big that they come out with a bunch of variants for other comics and they sell them for a much higher price. And then once they sell them from their store at that high price, they become even more expensive on the market like eBay. So I wanted to bring this over to the VeVe side to get y'all to start opening your eyes for some of these comic covers, because I do believe once we have a established market that they're going to bring some of those same ideas over here on VeVe. And it's always good to be ahead of the market than to be catching up to it. So just an FYI, if you did not know this, if I had $1,000 and I went onto eBay to purchase a comic, or any other website out there to purchase a comic, and it's just say a graded comic, that I can actually get some pretty decent comics for that $1,000, because the market's so well aged that they have so many comics that they're competing with that you can kind of say it's a borderline a flooded market, right? Now, the true breadwinners, they usually prevail, but for the most part, a lot of comics, they're not worth a whole bunch. Here on VeVe, it's a little bit different because one, you got a new market, and two, they're not going to put out as many comics as they do in the physical world. So yes, it may sound like a lot when they're coming out with like 2 issues or so a week, but it's really not a big deal, because in the physical world they come out with a heck of a lot more per year than they will on VeVe. So with that being said, that even though some of these artists just say they come out with a $100 variant for the physical world, that's actually quite a bit, because $100 can get you some really good comics as well, like other than just a variant. Like you can get some pretty decent popular comics, like for instance some of the Miles Morales that are what I believe are probably going to be really valuable down the road are going for about $100 to $150. So you can spend $50 more and you can purchase one of those comics. So here on VeVe, don't take the prices from the physical prices and think they're going to match. I actually think they're probably going to be a lot more, because of what I mentioned as far as the market goes. This is a much younger market and they're only competing with so many comics. So these artists, I made sure to put all the main accomplishments that they've done. So as far as how many covers have they drawn, how many subjects have they created, how many comics have they actually penciled, and then how many variant covers have they created on the side. I feel like these are really important, and I also decided to add which comics are they really well known for. Now some of them, they're not really well known for them, so I didn't add anything to it. I just kind of left it blank since they haven't done enough. And the ones that they're well known for, I made sure it's their penciled work. So it isn't about how many covers they've done. It's about how many have they actually penciled and what are they well known for when they do those pencilings. Okay, so let's talk about my point system. So this is just made up, and it can actually change in the future, and it probably will. But right now I think it's going to work, and I just need to find maybe 1 or 2 extra things to add here to kind of separate everything, and I will be more so as far as agreeing with it, because some of these comics are in a tier that I don't quite agree with, but I stuck with my weight system and that's where I placed them. Alright, so let's just start with the top. So tier list placement. That just relates with my original tier list that I come out with every week. So if it's a comic and it sits in the E tier, it's going to gain 1 point. If it sits in the D tier, it's going to gain 2 points, and so on. Next on the list is it a low mint comic? So is it one that's under 1,000 editions? If it is, it gets 3 points. Then the next point system is it a low mint under 250 mints? If it is, plus 5. And then we have, is it a popular artist? So popular artists can be subjective, of course, but I wanted to still put my thoughts into it, and I think most of us can agree popular artist would be somebody that's done a lot of penciling or has done a whole lot of covers or variant covers in their career, you could probably consider them popular since they keep making, or Marvel keeps allowing them to keep doing this. So to me, I feel like that's a good way of measuring it. So it's not completely biased by me. It's more so how much work have they put in to the Marvel comics out here. So after that, let's just say they're not a popular artist, but they've done some pretty decent amount of work. Well, I'll give them a +1 for if they've done over 100 for penciling, covers, subjects, or variants. So they can get up to a total of 4 if they did all that. And the reason why it equals up to a popular artist is because I feel like that's pretty good work. Doing 100 of each one, that is a good amount for their career. The next one will be, is it a VeVe exclusive variant for certain rarities? And what I mean by that is that, for instance, Fantastic Four 13 was the first one ever to ever have rares and an ultra rare as a VeVe exclusive variant. After that, it was X-Men 308. They're the first ones to ever have a uncommon and a secret rare to have a VeVe exclusive variant. That's all that means, alright? I don't know if the X-Men 308 is really going to have that much weight for being the first to have an uncommon or the first ever to have a secret rare VeVe exclusive variant, but I added it anyways because we are collectors and a lot of people like first of anything. Then last on the list, I decided, is it a special edition? So if you didn't know, Fantastic Four 13 and Daredevil #1 are both Comic-Con exclusives, so decided to give them +1s for that, and that's where I stand for my point system. So the one last thing that I do want to add to make sure y'all understand that these covers are art. I mean, that's how it is even in the physical world. Like, people will buy covers just based off of how they look, because there are some covers out there that are very iconic, like so iconic that new artists will come up with a homage cover of that artwork because they're just so recognized. And here, these are really good looking. I actually quite impressed on the way these VeVe exclusive variants look. They do an excellent job for their grayscale versions and their colorized versions. And another thing that I do like about them is the fact that they take a old comic, for instance, like Daredevil #1, and they semi-modernize it. So you have the throwback look of Daredevil, but with how the artists actually draw and colorize for today, because they're definitely different. So like the 60s artwork looks completely different from today's artwork, and it's really cool to see the more modernized look. Well, I think that's it for today. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask me, or if you have any more suggestions for this tier list, please let me know. I'm always here. As always, thank you for watching.